Hello guys, this is WebDevMania and today we're going to create the backend for a blog application. So let's start. The first thing that we should do is of course make the backend folder and then cd into it. Cd means change directory. Then npm init-y. This is how we initialize a backend application. You should do this every single time. This is the first thing that you should do when you are in the backend folder. So let's click it. Okay, so it's ready. So let's then install our dependencies. So the first one will be Express, then .env, then Mongoose because we are going to interact with the Mongo database, then .env. This is needed. This dependency especially is needed for our env variables, which are stored in env file. So what are env variables? This is secret information that we store, like the URL for the database, or the JWT secret. JWT, I mean JSON Web Token. So this dependency will require a secret, and this secret will be stored into the .env file. So let's continue. And I think it's only bcrypt and node.js. These are our dependencies for the application. So let's install them. It takes around half a minute to install on my laptop. I think it took even less, I think. Okay, so clear, and let's make our index.js file. The index.js file is our main file, so let's import the things that we need here. So express, then .env, and then mongoose. So the first thing that we should do is write .env.config. We should invoke this method. This will make our env variables accessible in that application. So let's make our env file, and I'm just going to go into the MongoDB and take our Mongo URL because this is something that we need right from the start. So if you don't know the process, just watch and copy what I do. It's very easy. You first log into your account like in every other application. Then you click here on the settings, this wheel here, then projects, new project. So blog API Node.js, this will be the name of my project. Create project, build a database, create, and here create cluster. Then username and password. And here the IP address, and I think that's it. So at entry, finish and close. Okay. So here the last steps are you click connect, MongoDB drivers, and here you copy the link. This is the link that is secret information and nobody should have access to this link. So that's why we've created the env file, and that's why right from the start I'm just doing this. So here remove this and write the password. So in my case it was John Smith 123. You can write whatever password you want. The longer and more secure, the better, of course. So this is ready. This is it for the Mongo URL. So let's connect to our database. So process.env.mongo URL. Every env variable you should precede it with process.env. And here the name of the variable, and here the function that we will run if the connection is successful. So db is successfully connected, and then we connect our server. So we should instantiate our server. So const app express app.listen, and here the port will be 5000 and the callback function if it's a successful connection. So server is connected successfully. So npx node1, let's see. I mean, nothing could go wrong. So yes, you see both of them are connected. So this is it for the index.js file for now. So let's make our folder structure. So models and controllers. The first model will be the user model. So let's start defining it. Okay, so const mongoose is equal to require mongoose, then user schema new mongoose.schema, and this is how you define a schema. You need to write new mongoose.schema with an uppercase here, and to define the fields right now. So username is equal to type of a string, then it must be required. So you cannot make a user schema without a username. That is what required means. You cannot go over it. It must have a username, and then unique, so it must not repeat the same name. You cannot create two accounts with the same username. Then email, and it will have the same requirements as the username. So it will be a type of a string, it will be required, and it will be unique. And then the password, again a type of string and required, but it will not be unique, because imagine you are creating a new user and it gives you an error that the password is unique and you cannot create that particular password, and then you know that there is some user with that password that you wanted to make your account. So it's bad for security reasons. And let's make our password, I forgot, with a minimum length of 6. So you cannot make a password if the length is less than 6. And then here we are going to create some optional fields. So location, string, and country of origin. If the user wants to specify it, he has the choice. And here the timestamps. Here you create a separate object, and this is from Mongoose. It's this by default, so if you configure it, I mean, so it's timestamps true. This means that when you create a document from this collection, from the user collection, it will have the last time it was updated and the time it was created. So it's useful for some schemas, and I particularly like it. So module.export mongoose model user schema. So the name of our collection will be called user, and it will have this schema. So this is what mongoose.model means. So this will, in the database, our collection will be called user, and it has the user schema. So this is what schema means, the fields and the properties and everything here. Then we are going to create a block model, so block.js, and let's start defining it. So again, we import mongoose, then block schema, new mongoose schema. And if you're a beginner, you probably have noticed that it always ends with schema. So this is a typical convention. You take the file name, so block in this case, and then you append schema. So the same here, user, and schema here. It's a typical convention that a lot of programmers use. So let's start. The first one will be the user ID. Every single block will have the user ID. So if I create a particular block, my ID will be linked to this block. So then I can do some particular actions. So when you want to update your block, you can only update your block. Imagine like I am John and Jane makes a post, a block in this case, I mean a block. So her ID is linked to her block, and I cannot update her block because my ID is not linked to her block. You're gonna see later how we can do this. Then title, again type of a string, required true, and a minimum length of 4. Then description, I'm just going to copy paste from here. Here the description will have a minimum length of 12. Then a photo, type of a string, required true, and the last field categories, type array, and default will be an empty array if you have no categories specified. And again a timestamps of true, exports mongoose.model block schema. So the schema is the structure that you want your collection to have. So the name of the collection will be block into the database, and it will have this schema. So this is the structure that it will have, and every single instance of block. So when I create a new block, every single block is a document. So the whole thing is called a block, and every single instance is called document. So later I'm just gonna show you an example of what I mean if you didn't understand right now. Okay, so we are ready with our models. Let's create our controllers. So Auth.js, this will be for register and login. Then user.js. This will be for getting a particular user, getting all user, updating users, and deleting users. And the last one will be block.js. Okay, so let's start with Node.js. So outra. Oh wait, I'm into the block file. No. Okay, so we are into the out controller file. So const out router is equal to require express.router. Then we are going to import the user model. And we are going to import bcrypt for hashing our password, because we want, when we create a user, we want to store his password or her password in the database in a hashed variant. So we don't want to store the plain password. If it's 123, it's going to be stored in a database 123. No, we don't want this. It will be some random string of characters when you hash it. So from 1 to 3 4 5 6, it will look like we are going to see probably 50 strings of characters. It's insanely long. I mean, the string will be 50 with a 50 length. You are going to see how hashing password works if you don't know. And this is everything that we need to import. So the router in which we will append our actions. So it will be like outRouter.post login, and here the login function. I'm just going to copy paste and create one for the register. And actually the register should be above login. Just that's the typical convention that I saw people use, not conviction. Conviction has an entirely different meaning if you know English. So try catch. Okay, so let's create our user. First we check if there is already such a user with this email. So const is existing is equal to await user find one, because find returns an array with everything, but find one returns the first instance. And here just we need to use the find one. What is the point of using find? It will return an array and make things a lot more messy with formatting. So email is equal to regbody.email. So if is existing, we throw an error. Already search an account with this email. Then we hash our password. So wait, bcrypt hash reg.body.password 10. So this is .hash bcrypt.hash. This is the method for hashing the password, and here the first parameter is the password which we get from the body, and the second parameter is the salt. This is used for encryption, how hard you want your encryption to be, and people usually choose 10 because it rises exponentially. So 11 will be twice as hard, and 12 will be 4 times as harder encryption than with 10. So usually we want for 10, because otherwise the password hashing will be too slow, and change is just the convention here again. So right after this we create the user. So new user is equal await user.create, so reg body password hash password. So this is called spreading. This is literally writing like this. So email is equal to regbody.email, username is equal to regbody.username. So this is basically the same, but I like this because it's shorter and more readable. And if you know the structuring, you would agree with me. There's no way you would not agree. So return res.status response.status 201, because 201 status is for creating, successfully created. That's what it means. And 200 is just okay. So we are going to use 201 for register and 200 for login. So we return the new user and console error, or actually just response status 500 JSON error message. Okay, so let's create the user. So we import it here. So it will start with out and out router. So if you want to make a register, let me just open my Postman and show you. So just register, and this is the link for registering. So auth, because here we specified auth here for the link, and then the endpoint will be either register here, or login, and in this case it will be register. So let's create. So this is from some other demo that I have made, so don't worry. So test1, wait, here the command. So username test1, email test1 gmail.com, and password 123 123. So right now I'm sure that we have an error because I intentionally did not write a middleware for this one. So send, you see here, cannot read properties of undefined training email. So we get our information from reg.body. So let's console the reg.body. So send, and you see here it is undefined. Why it is undefined? Because we have not written those two middlewares here. So let me write them: Express.JS and Express URM encoded. So right now you will see that request.body is not undefined, so it will be defined. That's what I mean. So send, you see here I get my user back, and there is no way that my request.body is undefined if my user is created, because it is created by these values here from the request.body. So you see here username test1, email test1 gmail.com, and that's what I meant from hashing password. So our password was 123 but you see here the password, it's a long string of characters. It's like, I don't know, 30, 40, 50, something like this. Oh, where did I went? Come on. And here the ID of our user, and here when it was created and when it was first updated. So the created and updated are the same, because when you create first the user, the updated field is the same as created. But later, if we update the user, you are going to see that those two values will be different after the update. Okay, so this is for the register, but there are a few things that we should do. So here we get the password back, even though it is hashed. We should remove the password from the user. It is just bad for security reasons. So let me do this. So again, I'm going to use the structuring. So password dot others is equal to user underscore doc, and here actually new user, and here we return others. So here we are going to get everything but the password. So I'm just going to use login, or actually just, yes, we have not have login implemented, so I'm just going to make another user just to show you. And here we get everything, but you see there is no password. So it works as intended. And you're probably wondered why I do ./doc. So I'm just going to remove this and return the others, but directly from the new user. And here test3, send. And you see here we get a lot of, I don't know from where those things come. And here underscore doc, and here the information that we are interested in. So this is some MongoDB by default, the information, I have no idea. I don't know. I just use underscore doc, and if I make again a fourth user, you are going to see it works as intended. Okay, no password and no random information. So here let's make a login. But I even forgot another thing in register. You see here I have the JWT imported. We should make our token. So after this is the structuring, we are going to make our token. It is very easy to make. So JWT.sign. This is the method for creating a token, and the first parameter is the payload. So our payload will be some information that we want to have. So new user underscore ID, then our secret. So JWT.secret. So this is another use for our env file. We need to have a secret for the JSON web token. So here let's create our secret. So JWT secret will be called like something random. I'm just going to type, just remove those braces. And here the last property will be for how many times our token will be valid. So expires in, and here it is specified like this. So 2h means 2 hours, 5h to 5 hours, 1 day means 1d means 1 day, 2d means 2 days. So you see it here, then we return it. And actually like this. So right now we are going to create another user, and our register function will be 100% completed. So send. You see here we get the user back and the token. You see how long is it? Then we're going to get the token and send it into the request header. So here authorization, and here I've done it in a previous demo. So this is how you look like. See, this is how it looks like. So first you write bearer, and this is here a space, and this is the token. So this is a different token. This is like from a day ago. So you see it ends with FBO, and here it's with UGI. So it's a different token from a previous demo, as I said. Okay, so the login function will be quite similar. So I'm just going to copy paste my register and paste it here. So instead of it's existing, we're going to name it user, and here we want to have. So we want to check if there is no user, because we want for this email to be into database, right? So invalid credentials. If there is no user, we drop invalid credentials as the error message. Then instead of hashing the password, we're going to do the opposite. We're going to compare it with the hashed password. We're going to take the password from the request.body and compare it to the database password, to the password which is stored into the database, I meant. So compare pass is equal to await decrypt.hash. This is the method for comparing the passwords, and for creation it's hash. Actually this is for compare, is compare. So this is to compare it, the two passwords, and this is for the hashing. So the first parameter is the password which we get from the request.body, so request.body.password, and the second is the password which was looking kind of weird, which is in the database, those long string of characters which are random. This is the second parameter here. So if this is falsy, it means it's again invalid credentials. So I'm going to drop this error right here, and if everything is okay, I'm just going to change this here, and this is our function. It will be the same. It is working as intended, I think. So let's try it. It's not the same as the register. I was going to say this, but it's different, you know. So let's look with test1 user. So post method, auth, and the endpoint here login. So send. You see here we get our test1 user, test1 Gmail, and here the token. So it's working as successful. So let's get our user 2 just to see. So test2, test Gmail 2. You see here everything is working as intended. Okay, so the auth here is okay. So let's make our block controller. Let's start defining it. So first let's import our router. So block router is equal to express.router. Then we're going to import our block. And let's start. So block router get. So the first will be getting all the blocks. So get all async request response. It will be this function will be quite easy one. So we just get all the blocks and then we return them. So await block find. This is how you get every single document in the block collection. Then we return them. JSON box. And here just some generic error handling. Okay, so this is for getting every single block. So this one will be for getting a specific block. So this will return only one. So async request response. I'm just going to copy paste it because it will be quite similar. Find by ID, request params.id. So request.params is everything here. So in this case we have only one parameter because we can make it like this. But in this case we have only one parameter, and the parameter is called ID. So this is a dynamic value. It could be everything, and this is how we access it. So request params.id, and it's just only one block. So this is how you make that function. Then the next function will be for creating the blocks. So we have just no endpoint, and how we are going to create it? Yes, like this. So it will be again very easy. So block await block create request.body, and here the user ID request.user.id. So how we get access to this? Because when we create a block, we want our user to be logged in, and this is how you create a block. You cannot create a block if you're not logged in. And how we have this thing like request.user.id. This is not by default in Node.js and in Express. So I'm going to show you how you create a middleware, and you can put this middleware for a very specific reason. So you can put it before, like here, it will be called verify token. So imagine this is the middleware, and if someone is not logged in and try to make a post, it will go first through this verify token before going to this block of code. And this verify token will check this token specifically, and it will understand if the user is logged in or is not logged in, or the token is invalid, I mean it expires. So this is insanely good if you want to implement some protection from users that are not logged in. So this function right now will only run if the user is logged in. So let's create the verify token. So it will be a middleware. So middlewares verify token.js, and the function will be not that hard, I think, guys, for you to understand. So let's go. So we import the only thing that we import is the JSON web token. So JSON web token, and then the function verify token. So async request response next. And in the case of middlewares, this next is the function that is after this function. So we have put verify token here, and this next is the function here. You see, this is next in this case because this is after verify token. That's why this is here. So first we are going to check if there is something in the request.headers.authorization. So if there is nothing right now, because this is with this sign with the negative. So response status 403, this means not authorized, and we return message not authorized, no token. Then after this we check if request headers authorization exists, and request.headers authorization starts with bearer, because you saw here this is the request.headers. You see here headers, and this key authorization, this is it, this is the authorization, and here this is the value here where we put in the authorization. So every single time we put this token into the authorization, it must start with bearer. It is a typical convention. So you see here bearer and a space and then the token. So if it starts with a bearer and a space, this means there is something. So let's go, and I'm just going to put an else again with the same error that we have here. I'm just going to copy paste. Okay, so here we're going to write our code. So here token is equal to request headers authorization dot split with the space. So and here the first index, I mean. So this here without the index, you see, is going to return an array, and the array will be splitted with the empty space. So in this case it will return an array with exactly two elements. So the first element, the 0 index, will be the bearer, and the first element, the second element, the first index, will be this one. So this second element, first index, first element, 0 index. So this here, the token will be, again I'm going to repeat, second element, first index. And here this is the first index, so this will be the token itself, and we split it by space. So this is how we get access to the token itself. So let's verify the token. So this is the function for verifying. So JWT.verify, and here we put the token. Then we put the secret. That's why the secret is needed. So JWT underscore secret, and then here this is the result. So the first parameter will be error. If there is an error, imagine the token is not valid, or the token is expired, like we here for how many hours or days we have put it. So 2 days. Imagine like 3 days have passed, so it will be invalid because the time have expired. So if there is an error, we're going to return request.stat. I'm just going to copy this and change the error message. So let's copy it wrong or expert token. So there is something because we have took the token and it starts with bearer space, but it's expires token, it's not valid. And after this we're just going to assign the request.user to the data, and next, this is the function that in this case, because here we have put it, is this function. So this means that it will go to the other function and it will assign the request.user to the data. And you see here the data is this thing that we have assigned. So let me go into the out file, and it is this. So it is the new user ID. It is just the ID of the user that is either logged in or registered. So the only thing that is an object which has the user ID. This is the thing. So this is an object with a user ID. I'm just going to comment it here. So for you to know it. And why do we need this? Because when we create a token, we want to be sure that the user has been logged in. So let's export this. So verify token. It will be later useful for updating the post, because we want to check if the user that is currently logged in is the same user that is for the post. So you know that every post is linked to its creator. That's why we have it here. And when we create a post, you see here, this is the reg.user.id, which we get this thing, we get here. If you're confused, just watch this part again. Okay, so how many functions we have left in the block controller? Let me see here. We have 2 more. So it's for updating and deleting. So block router, but this is for updating. So update block ID. And again, verify token. We want to be sure that we are logged in and we have access to the current user ID. So again, a try catch, because we are going to interact with the database. Every single interaction with the database is asynchronous. So const block is equal to, first we get the block request params ID, and then we compare if the block ID is not equal to the request.user.id. So if it's not equal, then we throw an error. So the error will be you can update only your own posts. So this will be the error, and if we are on this line of code, this means that the block, the creator of the block is the same as the logged in user. So we continue. So updated block is equal to await block find by ID and update request params ID set request.body. This is, you can Google this in Mongoose. I'm not sure if I can explain it properly, but this is basically for update. I can explain it actually. This is basically for updating. So if you have 2 properties, it will update those 2 properties. It will overwrite the properties that you have specified. So this is basically update. If you are not sure from my explanation, just Google it. You understand it. It is one of the easiest Mongoose functions or properties. I'm not sure how exactly they are called for update. This is for updating here. And this new true means that we get here from the updated block. So if I don't write this here, it will give the block that we will get here. So it will be the non-updated block. It will be updated into the database, but here we get back the block before it was updated. So that's why usually everyone specifies this object after update, because you want to get the updated version, not the before updated. And here we return the updated version. So 200 JSON updated block. And the last one, I'm just going to copy paste because it will be very similar. It will be the delete. So here, delete request, delete block. And here you can delete only your own post. And here we don't need this because we're going to return just a message. And here we remove those parameters. Here we just need the ID. And this method will be not find by ID and update, but find by ID and delete. So this is everything for the block router. And I think we have the user. I forgot this one earlier. It should be out user and end block, but it's not something that is of importance. I think the only thing that we forgot here is just to export it. So here, block router. And let's create some blocks just to show that everything works. So here walk, and let's see our schema. So it has user ID, but we should not write it here because I have already specified it here. So you see here, so if you're logged in, there's no worries. So we just need to specify the title. So here title, book 1, description book 1, some photo. I'm just going to write some random strings so like this, and here categories, let's see, like nature, animals, and send. Wrong or expired token. Why? Interesting. Let me see if I have written it correctly. So if error, right. So let me try to log in again and see. I'm just going to copy paste this and revert back to those values. So here I'm just going to log in as test2, change this, get the token, and paste it into the headers. So right now send in the because it should be post. So sending request. So let's see what is happening here. Here we forgot to return it. Okay, my bad. Everything is working properly, but we forgot to return it. So request status 201 JSON book. So right now it will work. So send. Okay, you see, we get the user ID, which is from our user that's logged in. It was, I think, test2. Let's check. Let's check that the ID is populated correctly. So it should be the test2 ID here. Browse collections. Come on. Would be slow right now. So users. So in the start of the video I told you what is collections and what are documents. So you see here blocks is a collection, users are collections. So you see this is a collection here, but it has total of 5 documents because we have test1, test2, test3, test4 and test5. So every single instance, this thing here is called instance. So this is called a document. So the instance here is called a document. So you see here total of 5 documents, and here we have 5 users. So test1, test2, test3, test4, test5. So this thing is called individual. The thing that is individual here is a document, and the whole thing is users, and it is called collection. Okay, so it should be like test2, so it ends with B31. So B31, okay, it is populated as expected and correctly. So the next thing will be to update. So update block, and here I'm going to copy the block ID, and here I'm just going to paste some ones just for you to see the difference. So here is just 1 1 1 1, and the put request sent. You see here, you obviously see here the difference, and you see here created at and updated at. Here the values are different because I've updated this just several seconds ago, but it was created like 2 minutes ago. You can see here. If I click again send, like something like this, just see here the values. The value here in updated at, it will change. So send, it has updated. So 32 minutes and 15 seconds. Let's see here. Yes, it's the exact same because it took me 5 seconds to say it. So if I click here, this instantly 27, 28. I mean, it's the same. So you see here. Then we should delete. So we should try delete. So delete block. Send, successfully deleted block, and there should be no blocks here. You see here query result 0. So delete works successfully. And we should head into the user controller. It's not very hard, so let me start. So I'm going to import again the verify token because we are going to need it. then the user model, and the user router here. So user router, the first section that we are going to write is finding a particular user. So from the parameters we are going to get a specific user, and we are going to return him. So here there is no point of specifying verified token. We're just going to write it like this. So const user is equal to await user find by ID request params ID. User ID, because here I have written it user ID. It should be the same as here. After this, if there is no user, we are going to throw error, no such user, and after this we return. So 200 JSON user and some generic error handling here. Again, 500 error message. Then after this we write again a get request, but it will be not for a single user but for every single user. So find all async request response, then again a try catch. I'm just going to copy paste it because it will be quite similar but not exact. So instead of find by ID it will be find, and here instead of specifying something or writing something we put an empty object. Here users, no such, no users. Here that will be the error message. So it's almost the same, you could say. Okay, the next will be for updating. Here it is going to be a little bit more complex than the previous one. So update user ID. Here we need the verified token because we can update only our profile. I cannot log in from John Smith profile and try to update some like Jane profile or Anna profile. I can update only my single profile. I cannot update other profiles. I mean, you could write it into the code, but it's not accepted. That's what I mean from you can. So we're going to check right in the start. So request params user ID is equal to request user ID. So this means that we want to update ourselves, and else return request status 403. You can update only your own profile. So if you wonder from where you can get those status codes, you can go into the browser, HTTP cat, and here you can see every single status. So you see here 200 created successfully, 200 okay, and wait, was 203 forbidden, 401, I mean 403 forbidden, 401 unauthorized, and there are a couple more, I mean a lot more, not couple. So yes, let's continue. So if you are into this block here, this block, it means that our condition is truthy. That means the user we want to update is ourselves. So let's write first, if we want to update our password, we want to hash it, because if here we update our password and we don't hash it, it will be just plain and it will be very bad for security. So we're going to see what do we mean. So if there is request.password, request.body.password into the request.body, we update it. So we just reassign it here. So we should import an bcrypt. Bcrypt hash request.body password, and here 10. And we continue. And this is so updated user is equal to await user find by ID and update. Here params user ID. So first we get access to the user, then we update it with the request.body. And if I did it like this, so imagine that I did not reassign it, I should have done it like this. So let hashed password is equal to no, like this, and if request if hashed password, I should update it like this, I mean, you see how confusing it looks? At least for me it looks kinda confusing. Why it gives me an error here? Ah, I get it. Otherwise we do it like this. So you see it's a little bit confusing if you do it like this. I don't know, you decide, but for me it looks, I don't like it this way, so I'm just going to revert back to the original way. So request.body.password, of course. Here new is equal to true, and here we just return it. Just return the user, I mean, and this is it. And the last action function here will be the delete. So delete user, we don't need this, and we can do it just like this. We don't need to specify everything but the ID, and here find by ID and delete, and here message successfully deleted, and here you can delete on your profile. Okay, so let's export it here and let's try it. Okay, so we are logged in from user test 2, I think. So first we are going to try the functions that are not protected by the verified token middleware. So it was find all, I think. So it should return 5 objects. Cannot get user, I think it was user then. So send. Okay, so you see here we get them all. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We get 5 objects for the 5 different users. But as you see here, we get the password. So I'm just going to format here. So const, not here, but here. So const formatted user. It's going to be very easy. You are going to probably understand it. So username here. This is again called the structuring. So not the password, but the email and ID and username. So here we get only these values and we return them. So I'm just going to copy this. I could have written it like this, so I'm just going to show you how it will be the same. So just user and then here. This is basically the same here with a comma, but I don't know. Oh, here we have an error, so it's not basically the same. So we should do it like this. So this is the same, but I'm just going to leave it like this, guys, to not make it more confusing. And here we return it. So right now it should be everything but the password, and here the created and updated at. Let's get them too. And the updated. So let's try. We should get everything without the password. So you see, here we get everything but the password, username, email, ID, created and updated at. Okay, so this is successful. So let's get the first user ID here, find, and here the user ID. So this should return only the test one. So send, and here we get the test one, but again, you see, we get the password, so let's format it. So here, password, others, user underscore dot underscore document, others, send. You see here we get it without the password. So those two are doing as expected. Let's try the more complicated ones. I'm very enthusiastic about them. I know that they're going to work because I've tested them, but I just want you to see. So I was with the test 2, right? So what was my ID? Let's get it from the database. So I was logged in as test 2. So copy here test 2, put request, update user, and let's update our username. So my username you see here is test2, so it will be like this. with uppercase test2 just for you guys to see that it's working. So send unexpected, here the comma, send, you see here we get test2, and you see it was from this object ID B31. So let's refresh the page and you're going to see. You see, we get it as expected, it's updated. So test1, test2, and test3, test4, test5. So it's working as intended. And here the last action that I want to test, it will be the delete. So delete user. Here the user ID, we have nothing, we don't need nothing in the request.body, and here sent. So successfully deleted 200. So right now when I refresh the page, it should be test1 and test3. They should be adjacent to one another. So refresh the page and you see here test1 and test3 only. So everything is working as expected, guys. I think this is for the whole video. Yes, so thank you for watching this video and see you next time. Like and subscribe.